Hello, everyone. Today is Tuesday, October the 6th.
I'm George Dosher in Jacksonville, Florida.
I'm Jeff Zayas in Napa, California, where it hasn't rained in 2 years.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana, where it rains every day.
Hey, everybody. I'm Duke Carrico on tonight's Android Journal. Want a Chromecast? Hey, don't bother with Amazon. Hey, Stage Fright is back along with T-Mobile customer data leaks. And who gets marshmallow on their Moto phones? We'll discuss this, our apps, and much, much more. Welcome, guys, to episode 107. How we doing this evening?
Doing great, man.
Very good. It's actually beautiful here.
So, South Carolina's been underwater all week. George, you seen any rain in Jacksonville?
A little bit. It sprinkled the other day for a minute or two, so while I was looking at vinyl at the flea market, I got a little sprinkle on my forehead, and it stopped.
Okay, and Robert, what about New Orleans way?
Actually, it's been very dry, surprisingly dry. October tends to have a little bit of water for us, but not so far, not this month yet. So I don't know if they were kind of all saving it up and sending it all to South Carolina and everybody else just, gets pretty weather. I feel bad for those folks in South Carolina. That is really a bad mess, big mess.
What's weird is that they got more rain in one day than the average rainfall here in Napa for a whole year. It's like
amazing. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Here in Northeast Tennessee, it has, of course, the last 2 days have been beautiful. But I mean, we got rain like 5 days in a row, and creeks and rivers and streams all got up. Some of them overflowed, but listen, nothing compared to the state of South Carolina.
Yeah. Sad.
Hey guys, let's talk about what's happened in the world of Android the last 7 days. One of the items that really caught my attention is Amazon. Amazon has basically notified all of their third-party sellers, basically telling them that they will no longer be permitted to sell the second and fourth best-selling streaming boxes from an Amazon store. This is Chromecast and Apple TV that I'm talking about, and Google recently released 2.0 version of Chromecast, the most popular streaming device there is out there, mainly because of price. Apple TV's just been reworked, going to feature a lot of games, and these things probably compete head-to-head with Amazon's streaming hardware. So, Robert, jump in here. Give me your thoughts on this. Is this a mistake for Amazon?
Well, I don't know if I would say it's a mistake. It's an interesting maneuver, but let's face it. They, as you said, are in direct competition with Apple TV and with Google Chromecast with their Amazon Fire Stick and Fire TV box. It really, on the surface, kind of makes sense. You're not going to promote your competitors' products in your store. Now, the excuse that they use, and I use the term excuse specifically, sounds kind of lame because what Amazon said was, well, we're doing this to prevent confusion for our customers. Well, people are not really confused. If they want Amazon Video, they will get Amazon Video. If they want Apple TV, they're going to buy Apple TV. Kicking their products out of your store, I don't think they're worried about the loss of the money. I don't think that's their concern because I think they're looking at the bigger picture of sales for their devices as being a bigger part of the pie than the small portion of sales they get from the sale of the hardware. Does it make sense? It does sort of make sense. McDonald's doesn't sell Burger King Whoppers, okay, for a reason. And so, I do kind of get why Amazon is doing this, but still, they're kicking out a pretty good segment, isolating people away, saying, nope, we don't want that business here. And even more interesting is whether you can get Amazon's video on those devices. You can't do that with the Chromecast. It's a bit of a challenge. You can do casting, but you don't have a native app that can play Amazon Video on the Chromecast.
Yeah, and I agree with a lot of what you said. When I go to Google's Play Store to purchase a Chromecast, I'm not picking between a Chromecast and a Fire Stick. Okay?
Right.
It's a Chromecast. The same way with Apple. Apple used to carry a lot of Bose products till they bought Beats. And they kicked Bose to the curb, and now if you want something of that genre, it's Beats or go somewhere else.
Exactly. They're not going to sell the competing product when they have their own product on that platform or on that environment.
But Jeff, let me ask you: is it the same? Because normally if I'm going to buy something, Amazon's the first place that I go to look for it. Okay.
Yeah, Amazon. I kind of agree with both of you, and then I disagree with it at the same time because here Amazon is in the business of selling product, just not Fire Stick, right? They want you to go to their website and then look at all the other things that you want to possibly get and recommend underneath the Chromecast, right? Other people have bought this, and so and they do make a piece of something off everything. So I don't know. I mean, it makes sense in some strange way that they don't want to do it, but they are kind of like a supermarket of sorts. Everything's on the shelf. There's all these different types of groceries, cereal boxes, all these different vendors, and they make a portion of that, and they want to drive business to their store by offering deals for like one product over, and then everyone comes in and buys other things, right? So yeah, I think it's just short-sighted, actually. It's not the long view, I think. I can understand why they did it, but I think it's short-sighted. I think that
and I'm going to disagree with you here, Jeff, because the amount of money that they're going to make off the sale of an Apple TV is minuscule as compared to the sales of video rentals or purchases over the long term. You sell an Apple product, they're going to go to iTunes to buy their video stuff. You sell a Fire Stick, you've got them in the Amazon store buying. Okay? So you're comparing you're saying they're short-sighted because they're a grocery store. But the truth of the matter is they're more than a grocery store. They're not only going to sell you that product the first time, long-term, what are you going to come back for over and over again? It's the rentals. So I think that Amazon is actually not being short-sighted. They're actually very much playing the long game here, saying, we don't care about giving up that little bit of money for the sale of the hardware because we want people to buy and come back to our store long term. And so to do that, they need to not be going to iTunes and not to Google Play, and get people to do that through the Amazon store.
Yeah, but and I see that, but you can get like smart TVs come with preloaded Amazon, TV or Amazon Prime or whatever. So the more it's kind of like I look at it the Netflix model. The more devices that I can have my app on, the more money I'm going to make, right? And I think that's where they should be headed too. And the more that they sell of Chromecast, they help promote it and they get their app out there and all that stuff. They should put their app on the Chromecast. Because they should have that Netflix model. That's what they're competing with.
I think if you look,
Amazon's
probably not making a lot of money on their own hardware.
Yeah, it's a lost leader, right?
Yeah, and to do that, but I think the short-sightedness is not in losing the sale. I think the short-sightedness is that Amazon is starting. They're picking a fight with Apple and Google, and you're never going to see Prime apps on Apple or Google products now because of how Amazon is doing right now. I think
drawing the line in the sand.
Yeah, and that's why it's they should have that Netflix model, right? I want this out to everything. I want it on mobile devices. I want it on all the smart TVs. That's how they grew. That's how they got so big.
So George, they've kind of picked a fight here with Apple and with Google, but they chose to ignore Roku, the most popular selling streaming boxes out there on the market. Okay, what do you think about that? That they've given Roku the pass?
Well, the Roku, I think one of the reasons why Roku does offer its own content, which most people don't use anyways, or at least I don't. So Roku does offer its own movies and TV shows through its own app as well. But I don't think they see it as much of competition. Google has a giant content streaming system, so I think Google just. I'm not even sure where I would be going with that, but I don't see that Roku as a major issue compared to Google for some odd reason to Amazon. I know Roku, like I say, does offer its own, but I don't think I can't think of anyone that I know of have ever used it. So where they would use Google's or
But see, I think what Jeff's point about, don't you want to be on every platform you possibly can? Roku is definitely not a competitor to the Amazon store, and Amazon certainly says, yes, I want to be on smart TVs, I want to be on the Roku, I want to be on places that will let me, deliver my content. Whereas they can't get on Apple iTunes. There's no way they're going to pay the 30% that Apple requires for stuff sold on their platform, and Google the same way. Google wants to promote Google Play. They're not going to promote Amazon inside of Android. I mean, look at what we have to go through to install the Amazon App Store on an Android tablet right now. It's a joke.
Actually, Amazon inside Android works, but Amazon, it does. You can get both of the apps and it works fine.
But you have to jump through hoops to make it happen. It's not simply...
Not really, not anymore. Not anymore. It's actually become easier. Back in the day, you had to, because it was like in the beta thing. You had to install the two apps. Now it's just like the one app, and it does work. But the Chromecast, I think, is where the evil lies, because with Chromecast and also with the media player, the Google Media Player, which I probably
Google TV.
Want. But with the Chromecast itself, yes, it's apps for everything else in the world on there, Plex, whatever, and they've added. There's got to be at least 100, maybe 120 apps in there that work with Chromecast, but there's still no Amazon at all.
Right.
So I'm not sure if Google said no, I don't think so, or Amazon just didn't want to push one. I can't see why. It seems to be somewhat open in the app.
I don't think Google's shutting them down. I think it's up to Amazon to provide an app for Chromecast.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's on the Amazon side where it's being stopped, but you figure they'd want their content no matter what, because, I'm sure there's a ton of Chromecast and even newer Chromecast users that they could hit an audience on. There's people that are just not going to buy a Fire Stick just because they sell it.
But here's the thing, and this I'm just going to dovetail. Why do you think people still use Netflix or is it because they're beginning to go into original content delivery? Like House of Cards, Orange is the New Black, and now Amazon is coming out with their original content, Transparent, and all these other. They're promoting the Emmys that are coming through their own original content.
The funny thing, Jeff, is Amazon, I think, had it before the rest of them. Amazon actually had original content years ago. I was watching some things,
but it's has hit the mainstream though. You know.
Well, yeah. Well, I think Amazon now is pushing itself further out there. It's trying to push its content out there. I mean, about a year ago, I ran into a couple in the store, and they were buying some things, and I sort of knew them. And I said, I could probably get this cheaper on Prime, a product we were both looking at. And they said, we use Prime. I said, well, do you use the video content? And they had no clue there was video. They had no clue. I said, do you have a Roku? Yeah. Why don't you install the Amazon app and install that? Well, we like Netflix, that type of thing. So Amazon is, you'd figure Amazon would just want to somehow kibosh Netflix somehow, but that seems to be more of a competition. I don't see Google, the Google streaming anything really it's probably equal to Amazon as far as just content. I mean, it's probably got more, but you're not paying for a monthly fee. You're paying per watch. So you're paying like $2 or $3 to rent a video, where with Amazon or Netflix, it's part of the service unless it's not part of the service. So
let's real quick, let's do a little poll here. Who on the panel owns a Roku?
That would be.
That's all but Jeff. All of us but Jeff owns a Roku. Who owns an Amazon Fire TV product? Robert and everybody but me. Who owns a Chromecast device? Okay, everybody but Robert. So we are all owning these devices. Now I might want to mention that Roku does, George, have an excellent Android app. Okay, I mean if you've got Amazon Prime Video, that is my choice to watch Amazon video content. Okay, an excellent app. But we're talking about, well, there's no app for Android on Chromecast, but when you can mirror as well as Chromecast mirrors, it's not really that critical, is it, guys? I mean, are we really missing that piece of the puzzle when the mirroring works that so good? I mean, you pull up the video and launch that video, it fills any TV that I cast it to.
Mm-hmm. The only problem is it doesn't take it over, where you have to leave that one casting device up, where in Chromecast normally, like say you launch the YouTube app and you launch something in YouTube, Chromecast takes over. It's no longer dependent on the Android device to do that. Right. But if you're actually mirroring, you're still dependent on that device. So say you've put it off an Android device and say it's got like maybe 25 minutes of battery left and you have a 2-hour film, it's not going to cut it unless you're rushing to go plug it in or something.
Right. Okay. Hey, guys, along those same lines, Showtime announced this week that now you can get their service without a cable subscription, and for the low price of, I believe it was $9 a month?
11, I think.
Was it 11?
I think so.
Yes, you're right. You're right. It was $11. And, hey, George, you going to pay $11 a month for the privilege of watching Showtime with its original programming?
Not at all. I haven't watched Showtime probably in about 10 years, maybe more.
Hey, Jeff, really quick, name me a Showtime original programming show.
Ray Donovan, which I actually watch and like.
Okay. Robert, you watch any Showtime original content?
I do not. But I think it's more important to acknowledge the big shift in 2015 of content producers like Showtime, HBO, ESPN, Sling TV, who are coming out saying the cable companies are not going to have a stronghold. They're not going to stop us from delivering our content to consumers. If you happen to like that particular producer's content, people will pay for it. They don't want to have to be saddled to a cable subscription to be able to get it. And they will pay that $9, $11, or $15 a month for that content. and they will do it gladly because they're not paying the $65, $75, $100 a month for the cable subscription, and that is the big thing here. It's not just HBO who jumped out on a limb and say, hey, you can pay us $15 a month and get our services. Now there are many, 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 many other providers who are stepping outside of the cable stronghold and delivering content to consumers.
You can get CBS All Access for $6 a month. By the way, CBS has a 24-hour news channel right now that's free.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you can get it on the internet. I'm watching it on the Roku. It's a live streaming service. It's not bad. I wouldn't call it great, but it's not bad. Okay. But getting back, you pay $8 a month for Netflix. You pay $8 a month for Hulu. $15 for Showtime or for HBO. And Jeff, it's $9 for Showtime. Not 11, but 9.
I thought that's for Hulu, right?
I wrote down here. I was looking them up yesterday. Showtime $9. CBS All Access is $6. You're basically looking for all of those services. You're looking right at $50 with tax. Add on your cable subscription. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But
is this a la carte? Are we really saving money here?
Well, I think you are if you look at it in terms of say I'm hooked on Game of Thrones. Okay. Well, I might wait until Game of Thrones is over, that season's over, binge watch it for $9, cancel my subscription, or do it because people are going to. I don't think people are watching Showtime or HBO for their movie content. I think they're watching it for their fan-based loyalty to Game of Thrones or Ray Donovan or Homeland or whatever their original content is. But I could see a lot of people jumping on and jumping off, adding it for a month or maybe 2, catching up, and then dropping it. Then waiting for the new season to start again, add it, drop it, because that would make it, probably more effective for an individual where it won't be so pricey having it, never watching it, never, you know what I mean?
Yep.
By the way, Ray Donovan's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. But it has to, but not the race, the latest
not the most
shows?
recent, up to season 2, and you're buying the episodes right now. But if you watch every once in a while, they'll drop them back in.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying. Yeah, exactly. I just happen to have Showtime for free because of my cable service for a year, so they tossed it in there.
I'm just saying for people who cut cable and maybe just don't want to pay a full subscription fee, maybe don't mind if they watch an older season or something. They probably can even get it on Netflix for all I know.
And everything that's past 3 years old or something like that is on HBO is on Amazon Prime as well. Like all the Sopranos, Wired, all those great shows. So.
And Bosch, by the way, which isn't an HBO show, but it's a great original Amazon Prime thing. It's really excellent.
Let's do another quick poll here. Out of all of these services that we're talking about, who is getting them without cable? What's your top 3? George, Joe, what's your top 3 services where we've been talking?
All right, my top 3. Actually, I've never had Netflix at all, so I have had Amazon Prime for a couple of years now. I have used Crackle, but through the Plex app, which destroys all the commercials, so I can watch stuff off of that. And then, of course, whatever I have on my own media server through Plex. So those would probably be my top 3 choices. I have zero cable. I haven't had cable in years.
Okay, and I've seen your movie server, and it is quite large. Jeff, what's your top 3 services, man? That you're using?
My top 3 that are non-cable provided. I actually have Netflix. I don't really watch it because there's nothing I'm watching right now, but I am paying for the service. I actually use Kodi a lot for some things, and that's it. I haven't used Amazon Prime, and I have it,
Okay. Well, here's the funny part. You say, which of these services do I use? And the one that I use the most is not on here. You know what that is? OTA.
Oh,
Over-the-air antenna. Most of the shows that my wife and I watch come on CBS, ABC, NBC. So we have a DVR system set up. I record our shows. It strips out the commercials, saves them on my NAS, and so we can go back at any time and catch up on Survivor or Big Bang or any of the other dozen shows that my wife enjoys come on the primary free over-the-air. Second and third to that has to be Netflix and Amazon Prime, because my son is a big classic movie fan, and he loves watching the classic horror monster movies on both Netflix and Amazon Prime. But our number one TV service is our over-the-air DVR shows.
yeah.
Very good. Believe me, I live at the foot of a mountain, and if I stick an antenna out the window, I get nothing but snow. Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, with digital, all I get's a black screen because you don't get the snow. But I'm going to have to say that Netflix is my number one. Amazon is second, and probably third might be some stuff that might not be legal.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you would say Twit, to be honest with you, because you fall asleep with Twit every night.
You know, listen, I do like the Twit network, and I watch a lot of that or listen to it. I don't have to necessarily look at it to enjoy it. I do like the Twit network. I'm into technology, and it does a decent job. Well, let's put it this way: maybe not all podcasts I think are number one, but overall, it's the best network to get technology news.
Yeah, I'm just hoping again for some miracle Aereo thing to happen where you can rent internet TV type.
Sling TV is the closest we have to that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, it is up and coming really strong. The biggest holdback right now is single device, single account. That is a big problem. If they would allow multiple devices in the same household to access it, so in other words, if my son's watching one show on Sling TV, I can be watching another on a different TV, they would be even further ahead of the game, like Netflix and Amazon Prime do. But that is going to be the next service for doing what you're looking for, Jeff. Sling TV.
You know, right now, if I want to watch it live, I normally pull it up on my computer and cast it to a TV with a Chromecast, just using the mirror feature. It's how I'm watching college football, pro football, NASCAR racing, and news. Okay? If I want to watch, like I say, the Roku does a real good job. It has several apps, where they're available next day after they air, and that's kind of how I do my catch up. You were talking about nothing on Netflix, George. Right now, I've been binge watching NCIS 12 seasons worth, and
I have too, but not through NCIS.
Bruce is a big fan of that show, and
Have you watched Sense8 yet?
I have. What a great series! I'm really looking forward to the second season of that. Really into that show, Jeff. Yeah. But yeah, listen, I've got Amazon Prime, not necessarily for the video collection, but because it's Amazon Prime with 2-day shipping. Okay.
Yep.
But what I found is, and Amazon's doing a little bit better job in the last year and a half with their original programming.
Yeah.
But usually, if it's on Amazon Prime, it's been on Netflix for a while.
Yeah, and just one last thing with Amazon Prime. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but their 2-day shipping has gotten so much better. Because they've actually contracted with, the UPS, and now, like the United States Postal Service, and I'm actually getting packages delivered on Sunday through the Postal Service, and it's kind of, they seem to be ironing out those wrinkles a little bit more. So, I'm a big Amazon fan.
Okay, so we've talked for 30 minutes here on these streaming services. I'm going to move on, but I think just to surmise it, we do kind of feel that Amazon long term might be making a mistake here. Is that what I kind of heard from the panel?
I actually think so because I'm going to say I don't know how much money they make, how much Play Services makes from people renting movies and TV off Google Play Services, and how much they make off Amazon Play or Amazon services for rental. I don't do those, so I think they're making a mistake.
Robert?
And I disagree. I think they're looking at it very much long term. They're making much more money off of the rentals and the purchases than the hardware sales themselves. They're playing a long game here.
George?
I'm going to shoot myself, but I agree with Jeff. I think it's a big-ass mistake to not let those in. Matter of fact, just because I know we had mentioned this, that they weren't doing it, but the first place I went to look for the new Chromecast was Amazon, not just a Google store. And just because every once in a while, it's a little bit different price, they knock it down, or I don't have to wait a freaking week for it, or whatever, and now I wanted to check out the audio, the Chromecast audio, and then I was just like, I'll go order one, and I'm like, yeah, Amazon saying got it, and then I sat there and said, I'll go order it through Google. I'm like, forget it. I mean, it just became like that whole thing. So.
Hey, like I say, Walmart sells that stuff for about $5 cheaper than anybody else, so just kind of keep that in mind when it does show up and play the Walmart card. That's what I do. Walk into Best Buy. Hey, did you know Walmart's got this Chromecast for $27?
That's true. Best Try may actually have it.
That's exactly what I did a few weeks ago when I bought my last one. No joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, hey guys, let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about some security things that have popped up in the last few days. With first of all, we all remember Stage Fright, and Google quickly plugged that hole. Now we've got Stage Fright 2.0, still the same results. Basically, if you own an Android device, and the best that I can tell, what I've been reading out here, it's any Android device,
including a Fire Stick. By the way, you people might be watching illegal content that might be MP3 or MP4 related, only because they sneak that stuff in there, and that's one of the other reasons why I try not to go that choice. And Stage Fright's pretty damn nasty too. But yeah, I mean, when you say any device, you're talking like you got a bazillion different variants of micro PCs that people use that are Android based. There's a new one coming out that I had ordered, and then of course the Fire Stick, which is Android. I don't care, so you can say it's Fire OS, but it's really Android. So, and that will affect that device as well.
But it's only on downloaded. I mean, it's not off streaming devices.
Streaming is downloaded. It caches as an MP4 that's downloading on your system and caching on your system. So yes, it will be affected by that.
Yeah, email. If you send you can send a video file and email, and it's still the same result as downloading it from somewhere else.
I'd be very cautious about that.
Yeah, I think we were talking before we went on air, not necessarily about this, but I was telling you guys that I've unrooted my Nexus 5 just because Google has started pushing a lot of these security updates to the Nexus on a fairly frequent basis. Now that we've got billions of Android devices all over the world, is this going to be a common thing, do you think, Robert?
Well, you talk about the number of updates. Yeah, I think it is going to be a common thing. The problem is that we still come back to the OEMs for the non-Nexus devices. There were 4 in the last year for Android, Nexus Android devices, and that's why a lot of people unrooted went back to standard so they could get the over-the-air updates. If you're rooted, you tend to have problems. But we still have to go back to all the manufacturers to plug all of these leaks. And so the vulnerabilities are still going to exist for billions upon billions of devices out there, because the manufacturers are kind of dragging their feet, even though Google is, producing the fixes relatively quickly. Stage fright, I think, was patched within 4 days when it was first announced. But I waited for months for my Motorola Droid Max to get an update from Verizon to address it. So, even though, we can say for the Google line of products, it's great that they're coming out with these updates, the manufacturers and OEMs are still an issue when it comes to producing updates that plug these security holes. And they go a long way. Some cases, even devices that are still being used but have long since stopped getting updates. We're going to talk about that a little bit later in the show, too.
Yep, we are. And I'll tell you what's the truth, because we are. Let's move on really quick. Let's talk about the T-Mobile breach. Basically, guys, you got Experian. It's the world's biggest consumer credit monitoring firm. And they basically admitted this week that they had a massive data breach that exposed sensitive personal data of 15 million people who had applied for service with T-Mobile. Now, listen, all jokes aside, I think T-Mobile is really handling this as good as they can. They're basically offering you free credit monitoring, okay, to keep an eye on your credit. And but still, yet this is not a good thing. As common as it is, it seems very hard to stop this. I guess the question that I'm going to ask, hey Jeff, would this kind of news stop you from being a T-Mobile customer?
It's not their fault, so no. But I would have to start questioning every provider wanting my Social Security number. There must be a better way for them to, and I don't know if this is through the new chip, PIN, credit card, whatever, to verify my identity that way versus my Social Security number. So, that used to be sacrosanct, whatever, and now it's just being, let out like water, right? So I think that's the real problem, is how to keep that Social Security number, why is it required anymore? Is there another way to verify your identity outside of that? And I think that's where we have to go with it. So it's not T-Mobile's fault. I mean, I've been, I think Charles Schwab was hacked, and the same thing took place. They said that no Social Security numbers or account numbers were grabbed, but who knows what to believe, and always whenever there's something like this, the other shoe falls. It wasn't really 15 million, it was 30 million, or it's something, it's way, once they start really investigating it, it goes far and beyond what they originally saw. So yeah, I would not go with a carrier because of it, but there has to be another way around the Social Security passport thing, whatever they stole.
Well, Jeff, hang on a second. You say there's another way around it, but our entire credit-based system of our economy is based on Social Security number identity.
Yeah.
Homeowners insurance, car insurance,
yep.
Purchases, everything that you do that identifies you as a person, car registration, home ownership, voter registration, all of these things can be tied back in some form or fashion back to your Social Security number. But even, let's assume it's not your Social Security number. What if they steal other things like your email address or just your physical address? The potential loss and the intrusion of hackers, could be laid at any particular company. So if you were going to say, well, I'm not going to deal with T-Mobile because they had a breach through Experian, You could say the same thing about Sprint, Verizon, AT&T.
Yeah.
Any single one of them could have been. So, I'm not trying to, make T-Mobile totally, innocent, but at the same time, this same stuff goes on in every particular industry, any industry.
Yeah, but and I agree with what you're saying. I'm just saying, why does my phone carrier need to know my Social Security and check my credit rating?
For the same reason your home insurance does.
But
because there's some bean counter that says people with a credit rating of this are a greater risk of default, whether that be on a phone contract, a car loan, home insurance coverage, whatever. There's always something that is a number, that some bean counter that said whatever his credit score is, this is the risk that you should take with him. And that is why, these types of systems exist. And it's a problem. I understand what you're saying. Why does my credit have anything to do with the kind of homeowner's insurance I have? And that's why, because if there's some bean counter that said a lower credit rating means that you're more inclined to have a loss. That's a problem. That in itself is a problem. But we risk our personal information in every aspect of our lives. And if you start pointing out, innocent companies, T-Mobile, for example, in this case, say, well, we're not going to do business with T-Mobile, you may as well lock the door on every other mobile carrier out there.
Yeah, but it's not T-Mobile's fault. It's Experian's fault, right? It's just they were able to get in that section of their database to get that information out.
Right.
I used to have a boss who would tell me at least once a week that perception was everything. And I think that in this case right here, and I could give you other examples, the perception is that T-Mobile might not be real safe with your information. That's the perception. It doesn't matter. I mean, we can blame it on Republicans or Democrats. I think that at the end of the day, the perception is that T-Mobile might not be a good place to keep your information private.
And the part of that perception that really rings true, Duke, which name would most consumers more likely recognize, T-Mobile or Experian?
Exactly. Yeah.
Much more likely to know who T-Mobile is than Experian.
I don't know. I think there's so many ads now about getting your free credit score and stuff that Experian's pretty well known. Maybe not as well known as T-Mobile.
That's the point. It's the perception of who's the bigger name and who are they going to associate the blame with.
Yeah, I agree with that statement.
Okay. Hey, listen. There's a lot of good conversation back and forth on that.
But do you guys think that 2 years credit check is enough?
Probably not, to be honest with you.
I think there's got to be some other kind of way they can handle it. I don't know if LifeLock or whatever service is out there, if that's even worth it. But some other service.
LifeLock wouldn't even exist if not for the internet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, hey, let's move on here. Hey, let's talk about Motorola has announced who's getting Marshmallow. Okay? And really quick, I don't want to go through this whole list, okay? Droid Turbo, the 2014 Moto Max, the 2014 Moto Turbo. Of course, the Nexus 6 is getting it, but, Google's will be the one pushing that. But let's talk about the 2015 phones that are going to get it. The Moto X Pure Edition, that's the third generation. The Moto X Style, third generation. The Moto X Play. The Moto G, third generation. The let's talk about what's missing here, okay? First of all, if you've got a Moto G and it's not a 2015 third generation, you're out. But let's talk about the Moto E here just a second, okay? This phone was introduced in February of this year.
6 months.
It's not on the list.
Mhm.
And guess what? Motorola marketed this phone. Here's what they said. While other smartphones in this category don't always support upgrades, we won't forget about you, and we'll make sure your Moto E stays up to date after you buy it.
Isn't that a wonderful statement? Big promises, little delivery.
Okay, do you know what Motorola said? They kept their promise. They kept their promise. They pushed 5.1. So therefore they kept their promise by pushing an update. Even though they said upgrades, they pushed one update to the Moto E.
Right.
Guys, if I bought a Moto E based upon this marketing, I probably wouldn't be on this show right now. I would be on the phone trying to talk to somebody in Motorola USA about how they've lied to me.
Mm-hmm.
You'd be on hold.
Well, sure I would. Let me just say that, and I said this. I actually posted this on the Tech and Coffee forum earlier this week. You know what's sad is they talk about fragmentation. It's real. Android fragmentation's real. I don't care what anybody says. And if you buy a phone and you want to expect upgrades for it, you better be buying a Nexus device, because these manufacturers, HTC, they do it all the time. They say, you're going to be getting the next Android update on this date. And then about 2 weeks before the update, they basically say, well, we changed our mind. We're not going to support it now.
Mm-hmm. And then it's not just the manufacturers. Add on top of that the carriers along with it. So, once you finally get HTC or LG to decide they're going to go ahead and push a rollout update, you got to wait for the carrier, in my case Verizon, who's notoriously bad, to decide that they're going to do what they're going to do to the update and then roll it out. And you could be waiting for months. I remember when Ice Cream Sandwich came out for my Razr Max. I waited for months. ICS had been out for at least 4 months, 5 months, before I actually got it on my phone. And my phone at that point was only 6 months old. And I couldn't get the update to the latest Ice Cream Sandwich. That's shameful. It was just plain shameful. This is list that you read off about the devices that are going to get it, they say is not necessarily totally complete. And I get that that there may be some changes to this, but I think it's pretty glaring that a phone that's 6 months old, that they've left it off completely. And any of the 2014 phones that are a year old, they've dropped off, like the Moto X from 2014, not going to get it. The 2013s, well, maybe you could argue, okay, well, those are 2-year-old phones now. You can kind of see that. But I still don't see why the 2014s and the Moto E don't.
So why do you think that it? You think it's because of like USB-C or some new spec or some hardware? I mean, what do you think is stopping them from doing it? It must be some hardware that is not working well with Marshmallow, right?
They want to sell you new devices. Once they've sold you a device, they can't sell it back to you. So they've got to do that to entice you to buy new devices.
Yes and no. I mean, because they don't want to turn. I mean, obviously they don't want to turn you off, right? Yeah, from all this stuff. Now, like say the Galaxy phones. You think they're going to get Marshmallow?
I think the newer ones will.
Yeah.
I think the newer ones will. I think the HTCs will.
Yeah.
But if it's more than 14, 16 months old, forget it.
Right.
Well, then your option would be.
And just let me say this. I've got sitting right over here to my right an iPad 2.
Yes.
Guys, do you know what I just got through installing on it just before we went live on the air?
I guess the latest iOS update.
The latest iOS. Okay? The latest.
So when are we going to start the Apple Journal show?
No. 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 Do I mute him now, Duke? Was that my cue to mute him?
Yeah,
Mute him. I thought we were going to kill him.
Listen, the day that listen, you're welcome to start it, and I wish you all the luck in the world. But you will no longer be permitted to be a part of this show.
Not only that, but I officially say that cannot be associated with Tech and Coffee whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Words, Jeff, it'll be a very, very lonely show for you.
Yeah, but I won't
And
have any.
and he has no iDevice either, which would be
Look,
even
I have no complaints.
Hey guys, listen, we're Tech and Coffee. We're a Google Plus hangout, and hey, more than that, we're friends. We met back around November, December of 2011, and we hang out daily. We've met in real life, and we want to invite you to come and be a part of our hangout. We love to talk tech, and we love to talk other stuff too. We have several of us have many interests outside of tech, but tech brought us together, and that's our favorite topic. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Tech and Coffee 1. Our YouTube channel is Tech and Coffee. Our favorite social network by far is Google Plus. Search for Tech and Coffee. Look for that TNC logo. Catch our podcast on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and Player FM. Hey, tweet us using the hash Tech and Coffee. Questions, comments, and snide remarks, go to AJ at techandcoffee.info. Also in the Google Play Store, we have a Tech and Coffee Chrome extension. Go to the Google Chrome Store, search on Tech and Coffee. This will take you to our main hangout, our secondary hangout, our third hangout, which sometimes doubles as the sports bar, where we watch college football games on Saturdays together and have a good time doing it. Hey, listen, man, also we've got our main web page, our G Plus community, our G Plus page, and the Android Journal podcast. Hey, guys, again, head on over to the Chrome web store, grab the Tech and Coffee Chrome extension, and come hang out with us, gang. We would love to meet you and talk tech with you. All right, guys, what do we got for apps this week, man? George?
I ain't got an app, but you know what I got? I myself a brand new phone.
Tell us about your phone, man.
It's a Blue Energy X Plus 4,000 milliamp battery. The thing weighs like it's very thin. I'll take off. It comes with a case, as all Blue phones do. So I'll take the case off, but it's a pretty super thin phone. Takes two micro SIMs, and it does take a micro SD as well, up to 64, I think, and or maybe more than that, I guess. And that's just what I put in it. It's a nice little phone. I don't know. It's Android 5.0. I charged it about 2 days ago, and it's about half battery right now. And I've used it. I've made several calls on it. I've used it a lot. I've hacked a crap ton of portals and stuff. So it's just.
And what did you pay for the phone?
I paid more than what's on Amazon right now. Right now, Amazon has it for $123.90. It's an all metal case, so you can't replace the battery. It's Gorilla Glass and all that fun stuff. But I paid, I think, about $128. I'm gonna say $129. It's now $123.90. And so I was looking between this and another Blue phone. The other Blue phone actually had a little bit more space and more memory. And the reason I chose this one, because I do travel a lot, or on and off, and one thing that really comes in handy over, I mean, this is great performance. I can't say I've had any bad performance on it, but a 4,000 milliamp battery is going to come in really handy overseas. The unfortunate thing is it takes about 10 hours from scratch to charge this phone. So.
Very good. Very good. Sounds like you got a real deal there, George,
I
for
love
sure.
the phone. Man. It's a great phone.
All right, Jeff, what do you got, man?
Well, I'm kind of like George here. I don't have an app, but I had a lot of frustration with something, and I installed a Chrome extension called Speed Dial to kind of alleviate my frustration. So, let me share my screen real quick. So, screen 2 over here. It's this one. Yep, sure. I think. Is that coming up okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, great. When you open up a new tab in Google, they had the little thumbprints at the bottom, the most visited thumbprints thumbnails at sites that you went to. If you accidentally X one of those out and you don't go scroll down to the bottom of your screen and restore them all, it's gone. You cannot add it back. You cannot. All you can do is just visit that site so many times that it'll pop back up again. And I actually got tired of trying to, do that. So I installed this Chrome extension over here called Speed Dial, and you click on it, and it has a very nice little interface. And you just load in all these different thumbnails and tiles of recently used, and it just works. So if I were to go to, if I want to look at Bank of America, it's down 9 cents after trading. But it's just I can add as many thumbnails as I want in here, and just instead of keeping bookmarks or whatever, I can just click on a thumbnail and I have it back. And you can do some other things, messaging and email directly from here. But out of all the times I was trying to recreate those thumbnails or trying to do it on the new tab, just could not do it. Could not do it. So Speed Dial extension is pretty cool. I like it.
FYI, Bank of America is down a lot more than that overall.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Of course.
All right. Very good, Jeff. Very good. That does look handy. Robert?
Well, this evening I was actually going to show you guys Marshmallow on my Nexus 7 tablet. And I proceeded to do an installation of Marshmallow. It went pretty well. I was using a utility called the WugFresh Nexus Root Toolkit, which allows you to install different versions of Android on a Nexus device. It worked great all the way up until I went to do the root. Unfortunately, root on Marshmallow has not actually been totally accomplished real well, and it actually hosed my tablet. So I will not be able to show you Marshmallow tonight, but I will next week, and I will show you the Nexus Root Toolkit. If you have a Nexus device and you want to be able to root it and install versions of Android on it, this is the way to do it, and I'll demo that for you next week. Unfortunately, this week we have a bricked tablet for right now.
All right, man. All right. Hey, listen, I've got something here really quick. If you guys watch the show, you know I have an Asus ZenWatch. Asus this week have released a watch face maker, and you can put this on your device. So you right now you've got some to select, and really quick I'll just show you. I've selected this one right here. I can kind of change up the background of it. I can find something, that I like. Then I can go with a different style of a ticker, just to kind of give it a look. And let me get a darker background here. I think it'll show better. Pick the ticker that I want. It's got little icons. If you want to add here's a little owl, and you can move these around. I can select them and move them to different places. I can add text if I wanted to add text. Then you go with what kind of clock you want to look for, with the hand, so forth, etc. Then you can add the widgets, which is going to be your day, date, weather, watch battery, phone battery, missed call, add a second time zone, steps and calories. You can add up to 3 widgets on each watch face. I will say that it is a little awkward to get these things in the position that you want them to make everything kind of kosher and line up. But it's a pretty cool app and really, really quick. I'll try and show. This is an app that just playing with it. This is the app that I made yesterday. Just a second. I'm trying to get all my notifications off of here that have come in since we've been on the air. But this is a watch face that I made, just kind of trying everything out. And you can see I've got the weather, I've got my steps, the date, and yeah, I just added my name just for the heck of it. This is a free app. It only works on the Asus ZenWatch, but it is it's a fun little app. It's not perfect, but if you like having a lot of watch faces available and making them personal to you, check it out. If you've got an Asus ZenWatch or a ZenWatch 2, this is a great free app. And let me tell you, if you don't have an Asus ZenWatch, the ZenWatch 2 just appeared on the Google Play Store yesterday for $150. That's a great price for an Android smartwatch for sure. So that is my app this week. So gang, do we have anything else before I call this episode 107?
I do, Duke. I made my Pebble look like a $22 Timex. I'm trying to get it in front. $22 Timex right there.
Very good, man. All right, guys. Hey, listen, we'll catch you in 7. You guys have a great week, and peace out, everybody.